Lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next item is the approval of the minutes. Everybody get a chance to read them. Any corrections, additions?
Good.
I make a motion. You?
Second.
Second?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody opposed?
Nope.
Very good. Minutes approved. Next item is visitor comments. It's an opportunity for any visitors to come up and discuss. Yeah, oh, come on.
Come on, Gabriel. I know you don't like one of these traffic lights.
And
There's that one bump in the road I'm always hitting. You're always complaining about in the back seat.
to discuss any non-agenda items, please state your name and address if you come up to the lectern. I don't think we got anything. Okay. All right. So, first item, public hearing and action on rezoning of a 3-acre portion of a 14-acre Lot 2 of Plantation Village, Section 13 of the Family Life Church site at 220 Lake Road, from B3 institutional to B1 neighborhood business, or B1A professional offices. Let's see, 6:33, call the public hearing.
You ready?
I'm ready, yes, sir. My name is Chris Reese, and our address is 220 Lake Road. I'm here on behalf of the church, answer any questions you might have, or state what we're doing. So we're breaking off a piece of that 14 acres we own, looking to sell it to Mark Monacle, who owns the office complex just on the other side of the ditch from us. And it seems like his plans are to expand or add more to that. So kind of answer some unknown questions at the outset of all that. And that's transpired since we originally sat down with the fellows here and kind of talked that through. So that really helps us. What we've done is, of course, that sale allows us to pay off the remaining mortgage we have on our existing property the building is on, and allow for some future expansion on the backside. The remaining 4 acres we'll own on that, and kind of sets us up for the next 20 years of life for the church and what we want to do here in the community and outreach and all that kind of good stuff. And so unless you have any other questions, that's mainly our intent, our purpose, and our hopes to get that approved.
And just as for clarification purposes, at your last meeting, we weren't sure what the use was for at that particular time. So at that time, we put it in there as a B1. That's what you voted on. But after discussion, and you approved it, you approved the public hearing for a B1. But after talking to the city manager and our attorney, we needed to, and since we knew then, after the pastor told us that it was going to be it was contemplated for an office type use, we decided to put it also under the B1A for professional offices, so there won't be any questions, if any arose from the public concerning, what's gonna safeguard our, that particular use only, because they were burned with the car, collision test. That was originally all scheduled for a type of hotel type of development, and then something came back differently. So there were, we had only, as far as I remember, and you can correct me, we only had one person actually question that or send us a notification asking, what can happen if it's not a B1. And we told them, well, we're looking at B1A also, that would set that as for professional offices.
Was that question in relation to your comment on here about hotels? Somebody called about hotels?
That was what the lady asked.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in relation to that, because they were burnt prior to this thing. So, That's the reason why we worded it in the public hearing and the notification to the paper and to the property owners, that it was either or, B1 or B1A, and now it'd be up to you to set what you feel like is necessary.
So we decide whether it's B1 or B1A,
Correct?
but it has to, one or the other has to be specified,
Correct.
as
B1
opposed
will
to,
allow any type of commercial of neighborhood business to go in. B1A would only allow professional offices.
it seemed like we'd also be limiting to who they could sell it to.
Well,
They've already
and
specified.
The reason being is that he actually, made that comment, that it was for that purpose.
Right, we're under contract currently to close November at the end of the second city council meeting with Mark Monacle, whose intention is to do an office complex.
Just like the one across
Just like the
the
one that
ditch.
and
And
Right,
it's a B1A also,
Seems like that would be the appropriate thing to do.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, do we,
Does this require a fence to separate from the, a B1A doesn't?
If it were a residence right next door, yes.
Just residents, but not the B3? Okay.
They may
If the
still do
hotel
it though.
ever came to play, they would be required to have
would that be the hotel's responsibility to put a fence up at that
Correct,
point?
yeah.
Okay.
Like the one we considered
good.
over there
That would be
in the
good.
past, on the other side.
okay, do we require a motion on the B1A?
Well, I think we'd make, does anybody have any comments they want to make other than those that have been getting made? All right, I think we're ready for a motion if you want to ask for one.
Okay,
I move to approve rezoning of a 3-acre portion of a 14-acre Lot 2 of Plantation Village, Section 13 of the Family Life Church site at 220 Lake Road from B3 institutional to B1A professional offices.
I second that.
got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
That was easy.
All right.
6:39.
Thank you very much.
Sounds exciting. I'm excited to see
Close the public hearing.
it. Of course, my pleasure.
Okay, second item. Discuss and consider and take action on final review of the plat of Harmony Park subdivision filed on September 7th, 2022.
Okay, we have Mr. Raisler here, who is the surveyor. The one that pays.
And I
the
know
bills
nothing
for-
about this, actually. Don't want to hinter this before I forget it, that's it. And honestly, we developed a plat for this. It's been approved by the Lasco Drainage District. I think the drainage has been approved by the city. And it's a townhome plat, I think. I really don't, I know very little about
Yeah,
it.
he-
I apologize.
He's primarily involved in the actual planning. He wasn't really involved in all the shenanigans that went on before. Started back in 2021, in October, and then, it just went through a period of dormancy because either the economy wasn't right, the materials weren't right. So it just kept on going forever and ever. Finally, they decided to move on to this project. And now they need to have that plat before the actual construction begins. The plat conforms to all the conditions, requirements that we have for plats. And like you said, it's been signed off by the VDD that has just a signatory type of value there.
Matt, any questions, comments?
Is the plat each one of these individual
He's
units?
not Matt.
If you remember, the representation they made at the get-go.
But
was that it
they
was
weren't gonna sell them. Yeah. It's the ones over by Bucky's they were talking about at that time.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the Bucky's were gonna be for sale,
Yeah.
this one's for.
It's gonna be at
full
least, yeah, for rent, for lease.
Now, that doesn't
This
mean
one's
that
good.
somewhere down the line, they decided to sell, they could do it. It's something we cannot control.
This is over on Garland, right?
Yeah, this was the retention pond for the last 40 years.
That's what I thought. I didn't know why we were mentioning Buc-ee's, but,
No, I mean, because the same developer
okay, same
was already
develop.
talking about the same type of project as the Buc-ee Center,
Okay.
but those will be up for sale.
Kay, you have anything?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Anything? Okay. Do we have a motion?
John, do you have anything?
I don't.
Well, I agree that you never know when things sell.
I move to approve the final review of the plat of Harmony Park subdivision filed on September 7th, 2022.
Second?
Let me have one question. Is plats really plural? As opposed to all these components?
Okay, where did you see that?
Well, the statement says singular plat, and I didn't know if that was,
The plat of Harmony Park is not the plat of an individual townhouse within Harmony Park.
Correct.
So it is
Yes,
singular.
It's a singular plat, yeah.
so it's all the
So you
components
own it, but you don't
Correct.
own it.
included.
That's what we call every subdivision that we have,
Okay.
we call it a plat of that particular subdivision.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I'm sure I'm glad you came, or we wouldn't have any business.
Yeah,
And this is his favorite one.
yeah,
All right, next item.
okay.
Discuss and provide feedback to Lakewood Manor project construction
Okay, I'm
conflicts.
gonna be very
PUD
quick about this.
condition.
This isn't a bad thing, maybe.
So what you're saying, it's a bad thing.
All right, we know we're talking about the Wesash development.
Yeah.
Hey, and you remember Kevin Stuckey, well, Kay, you weren't here. Kevin Stuckey was the original
Right.
kind of leader of the pack room.
Yep.
And so we designed, his company designed that layout. And originally it was, the PUD had 60 feet between the buildings.
6 feet.
Six, not 60, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
not
6
six,
feet.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I apologize. And as we were going through the PUD agreement, we went through 2 or 3 iterations. And it was finally the last iteration, they added a rear building setback of 20 feet. There wasn't one originally. And then as we went along, Kevin wanted to put 10 feet between the buildings. With the understanding that if you put 10 feet, you didn't have to sprinkle the buildings. And so we spread them out. And he and I forgot about the 20-foot building setback in the rear. So as we couldn't move up into the road because we're at the 25-foot building, so we scooched them down toward the back. And so as they started doing their building, those two that Eddie's pointing at, they put them in there, and their surveyor, the developer surveyor, said, whoa, we got a 20-foot setback. And we said, oh, shoot, we're over 5 or 6 feet. And so what we've done is gone back and revised the site plan to squeeze it back to 6 foot in most places, to get everything outside of the 20-foot setback. So it's really not a change to the PUD, it's just getting everything in compliance with the PUD. So we've moved all the buildings, there were 11 of them that were troublesome, and we moved them and met with Sal and Eddie and Modesto yesterday? I guess it was yesterday. And everything's right. But that's what happened. And so that's why this came up, because we were out of compliance when they started forming those ones set up, and they said, "Whoa, stop the presses, no more." And so we've just adjusted everything, going to redo those forms and get it back in compliance. Everything's in compliance. They have 2 areas that they have a couple porches that encroach, and so they can't put roofs on them. They can have the slabs or do smaller porches, but we'll take care of that as time goes. So,
Up here, though, your section 8A and your section 8B,
yes, sir?
those look like a little bit more than just patios. Looks like bedrooms and restrooms.
Those big old squares?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I told them. I said, they don't have those, I mean, it's like 3 or 4 buildings that have them. I said, why you have this big old, it's really, it's a concrete patio.
Well, the 20-foot setback line you have here is actually going through some buildings.
Yeah,
Physically.
okay, this is not the current one.
Okay, okay.
I'm sorry. The one up there is current,
I see.
and,
On the subject, there are two, after all these.
can you build it one more time, Eddie?
Yes, sir. After all this configuration changes there, then it only leaves two and,
This right there.
yeah.
Okay.
And
And then, yeah, that right there. Oh, okay.
And those are big old
Yeah, it's-
backyard patios. I said, y'all just build a small one, give it up, and so they're in agreement. But those are the only two that are, as it's shown on the drawing, that are not included.
So all the issues with the buildings themselves being out, encroaching on the 20-foot have been resolved?
That's resolved, yes, sir.
Okay,
We
just was-
squoze them back to the 6 foot or whatever we needed to get everybody, everything in compliance.
Okay.
And
Is
so
there-
the reason I'm here is to tell you all, it was on the agenda, I said, okay, we squared it away with staff and just wanted y'all to know everything is in good shape.
But you didn't give the good story portion.
Well,
You had to install sprinklers.
Kevin Stuckey was a nice guy to work with.
I bet.
I'll say that.
Anyway.
Where is he now?
He left that company and I inherited somebody else that's a bit
So this
more-
company that it came to us was Kevin Stuckey, who individually lobbied all the members of the planning commission because his family had been involved in this type of stuff for years and years. And all of us that are older than maybe you, Matt, have heard of Stuckey Homes.
That's right.
Forever. He is now no longer a part of this.
He is no longer with that company. But that company is a home building
Yeah,
company.
the development company still remains the same.
They hired him for his name.
But their face,
Well, the guy that,
their snake oil salesman. I still think it's a
Don't
better
put that in.
improvement over what was we said.
Yeah, I mean, we're not fighting that, but I do agree with you 100% on that. He used his name.
He didn't leave because he wanted to, I'll say that.
Okay, well, I'll give him credit for that.
So everything's been corrected on the setback. I do like if they had to spread them out 10 feet between them, that's better.
Yeah.
You know, everything it seems to be getting better, and so,
So I mean, and that's, I don't think there's any action on this. This is just to let y'all know what's going on.
The only thing I need to add to this whole thing is that those two, first of all, city manager, decided to grant that those patios that do encroach in there, or just the slabs or the flat work, for better term, that it, be able to encroach just like we do in any type of residence around the city, where the flat slab on top of the improvement doesn't come into the actual building.
Doesn't qualify.
The building.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sidewalk
Yeah, that's not a
or
big
something.
deal. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can't put a roof out there.
There's another
Yeah.
item, now, you are gonna be proceeding with that change to the 25-foot building setback?
Yes.
Okay, because the plan itself that they prepared with this, PUD, for some reason, put in a 30-foot portion of right-of-way at the very start of that Weisach Street portion.
Yeah, right there where Eddie is circling, the old, I don't know what those blocks or something, but that section had a 30-foot building line. And so we kept it on our plat, but the PUD says you can go to 25, so
So
we're
now
gonna
that-
replat it in the
Yeah,
end.
so replat it now.
See what else we run into before we do that, because it's, you get a project that it just won't go away sometimes. So. And we have to replat, because there's some power company easements in there that have been, since we platted it, that have been abandoned, so we gotta replat to get rid of those, so it's.
Just for your information, one of the things I also told the city manager that we are gonna be requiring from them, because of the layout of this thing and it being so sensitive to the PUD, we are asking the builder to, with every permit that he draws from the city, that he pour, anytime that they're gonna pour a slab there, that there be a form board survey presented to the building official, where that certifies to those buildings being located where they're supposed to be. And I don't think it's gonna be a problem, because I believe their layout surveyor was the one that first of all found the problem. And he was conscientious enough to bring it up to us. And that's the reason how all this thing came about. They had already started on two of those, foundations, they had already formed, they had already put in, the underground. And, that's when they found out that they were encroaching in there, so that started the whole thing rolling. So now we're asking them to bring it in here before pouring of the slab.
And that's fair. That's not a problem.
Any other comments, questions? Do we need to have a motion to accept this, or?
No, not necessarily, because you don't, all complies with.
Just
DEP.
provide feedback.
Okay.
Originally, we thought we were gonna have a lot more problems, that's the
Got it.
reason why we decided to put it on the agenda, because we didn't have enough time to even think what was gonna happen.
Okay, so we have provided feedback. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I think I'm up next.
You are.
You get a permanent spot up there, don't you? Okay, item number 4, discuss and consider the administrative review of the plat of Northwood subdivision, section 4.
I'll just fill you out. This is Reg Applin and John and Bobby Weaver, thank you. And actually, that's the plat right there. This is north of sections 1, 2, and 3. This plat is this development is being done after the new FEMA maps came out. And the FEMA maps correctly said, hey, this stuff needs to be higher. As we all know, when we had the flood, then all those streets were flooded for a week or whatever. And so and I don't know I'm just gonna tell them about what we're building up the subdivision about 2 feet. And it will keep the water, and we're gonna put a flap gate and a gate structure on.
You got a laser pointer.
I don't have a pointer over here. Oh, okay, sorry.
Don't point it at you.
It's different looking than the last one. This is their lake, which goes all the way down here. Their detention pond lake, and it outfalls here.
That's that, okay.
And it goes up to Brushy Bayou or a tributary. And so what happened in the last big storm, it had the flap gate or something somehow or another water came from Bastrop Bayou and got back in here and flooded everything.
Careful with your word use.
Yeah, okay. And so we are putting on this far side right in here a gated structure the gate can close so Bastrop can't come back in this area. We're elevating this area and mitigating the fill with a big old pond that's up here. You can't see it on the screen, but it's right before you get up there. Digging a big hole to mitigate the fill we're putting in the floodplain here. And so that is a drainage analysis that was done some time back by an engineering firm called LJA, which we are utilizing. We've been brought on board to finish it out. And if Elston's reviewing all this, that's all drainage. The staff made comment reviews on the plat, which we are addressing. They're basically verbiage type stuff, nothing critical. It doesn't address any issues they may come up with, the drainage analysis and all that stuff.
The main reason for this plat before you now is, we still haven't touched the actual subdivision plan review or the drainage, and that's what Dustin is gonna get into in more depth. And Eddie has already done some of the civil review for the plan there, but he won't come to you until later on, until we feel comfortable in presenting those over to you. The reason why the plan is here today is, Modesto, you want to address that particular issue?
He's smiling, I worry about that.
This could be bad news for me.
Harry?
It's the defeated smile. No, it's not Mr. Raisler's fault. So the reason why I asked this to be before you is because the developer has done something out of sequence. They have cleared the land. The land is not supposed to be cleared until the planning commission approves a plat. So they've jumped the gun on that. And the next step for them is they have to, if they want to burn the debris, they have to get a permit before city council. And I've held off on taking that to city council until you knew of the circumstances that the developer jumped the gun and cleared the land. And most likely they were gonna have to do that anyway, since they were gonna have to raise it 2 feet. So they did it out of sequence though. And so, I mean, they can suffer your wrath, but I know council would not want to approve of burning the debris until you were made aware that the land's been cleared. And we've already issued them a citation and fine for that, but.
How much is that? Just out of
$500. Usually we could do it $500 a day, but we were informed after the fact we didn't catch it until Mr. Aguirre got a call from a citizen asking what was going on and went to investigate, and it's cleared.
Yeah, they did it real quick.
So we can only cite for one time.
I see.
So, but
Thank you.
they did it out of sequence. So they were supposed to. It's not like commercial property where it has to be platted and showed a tree survey. A subdivision doesn't have those same requirements. The only requirement is they can't do it until you approve the plat.
And the master plan talked about how far back they could build. Is this 2 feet of elevation required to meet that, or is it changed that?
The natural ground elevation out there is like at 16, and the new BFE, base flood elevation for FEMA, is 17.1, and your houses have to be 2 feet above that, so they've got 2 foot of fill over all this. So I'm not defending them, they did it, but it's gonna kill everything anyway if you put 2 foot of fill in there, so.
Just as a matter of information, is the last time it flooded over there, you know, we believe that the water got close to the 18-foot elevation.
18.
Well, you know, close to that elevation there. And so that's the reason why all that area flooded. Now, what we are thinking is gonna happen now with this new development here is that will create that front defense, call it berm, if anything, because all the lots are gonna be at close to 18 by the time it all finishes. So that's gonna create that natural defense mechanism, not only for them, but also for the people that have been
No, the
affected.
people in section 1, 2, and 3 down here.
I'm a resident and have been for 10 years. I live on Rose Bay Court, back where the subdivision number 4 is going to begin. And the rising water was disturbing. And I didn't know of anyone's home that was, say, totaled or ruined. But for the most part, it was the getting in and out of the
Right.
subdivision. Once you get up on Deerwood, you know, and head towards 2004, everything starts to get better, but by the low water bridge, and I live just past it there, it was an inconvenience, and I look forward, I know a pond, it's a pretty big pond.
It is 10 acres.
It's lake,
And it's-
to me.
I mean, the
Yeah.
mitigation pond.
Old
I'm
Harrison had it, you know,
Yeah.
years ago from the airplane guy. And I think that it's a good move. I don't know about and was not here for when the clear cutting began. But I certainly saw it and knew that that was eventually the plan, was to move forward north.
And everything would have been fine,
Yeah.
had it not been, you know,
For that.
yeah.
And well, I can't speak for them.
Well,
They
it's
didn't
speaking
think
as a
there was a
resident,
problem.
not as,
So they're gonna have to
part of the
clear it
family.
anyway, and so they just went. The other thing is, they're giving it's like a 30-foot strip here. I'm not sure if it's 30 or
No,
40.
they're not.
Okay, they're not?
No,
Yeah,
no. That's one thing that's been,
Oh, y'all still talking
that
about?
That he has brought up constantly, And it was spoken for last during the PID discussions with the city council.
Okay.
About him wanting to create this buffer, call it, green buffer or natural buffer
Yeah,
between the
natural
highway and
border.
his property.
Wait.
That, in the past has been rejected by
Okay.
previous planning commissions because they don't see a value, at all. And it only becomes a problem for the city maintenance side of things.
Okay.
You know, even though he says, well, you don't have to maintain it. Somewhere along the line, somebody's gonna call and wanna have a city do something about that thing, snakes or whatever, animals, whatever. So the city decided, no, we don't want those
Oh, okay.
those freebies.
Okay, well,
It's
and I
it's
have,
up there right now.
I have a
It's
meeting.
there right now.
Yeah,
There's a 40-foot green wall right there. Right
Yeah,
next to his little hideaway behind it where he cleared everything out.
And what Reg
That's
and
correct.
John,
It
they're,
is there already.
what Reg and John thought, there's a lot of noise south of them.
Oh,
Yeah, they have that
not-
fence, but
not gonna
that's
fight
not
that.
much. And so, this is more like a noise barrier. But, I mean, what would happen if the city says, no, we don't want it? Then we'll just
Bulldozer.
extend these lots and do away with it, but I think they're gonna leave that green buffer there just for noise.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about it tomorrow. Oh,
I think the overwhelming guidance that I got from city council is, no one's opposed to the buffer. It's the ownership of the buffer,
Yeah, who's gonna own the buffer?
and stuff, and so
It's
if,
gonna be the
if,
city Easter egg hunt.
no, so if the buffer is required to be there, but it's it's platted with the lot and the owner owns it, but they still have to maintain it, it's the city ownership of it, because then that gets murky years later of who's maintaining the buffer,
liability.
or can you put a trail through it? It's really not, it benefits the subdivision and each individual owner more so than it does the city. There's no really use for us,
Yeah, it's not a
for it.
park. It's just 40
yeah,
feet.
it's,
So-
well, end up
If it was
either
400
individual
foot,
lots will maintain it
you-
or the HOA will maintain it.
The city will take it over, I bet, if you give them all those
Thanks.
lots right there and make it, 100 foot, and we can put a park there for you.
We've had problems
They're already
with that
sticking us
before
for
in
Yeah.
other places. We've had problems with that in other places where the owner just went ahead and built a fence back in that area, and
Yeah.
everybody lived with it
Yeah.
until something came up, and
And became a trash collection.
that's right. And this Wilderness, I can't remember where it was, someplace over there near Roberts
It's,
School.
Faggard Estates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faggard Estates.
And
Yep.
so the Wilderness
yeah.
area started being debris, trees falling down,
I'm sorry I brought it up.
and, well, it's interesting.
I'm glad we talked about
you
CEDO.
get paid to be the punching bag, man. So, I give you credit. You still look good.
They don't even know this is on I didn't know it was on the agenda. I asked Sal to move that little item about, Hugh Weisach up to number 1, and Sal said, you got 2 other things on it. I said, huh?
This says detention and drainage reserve. That doesn't connect to that lake, does it?
That is that, like,
That's the lake.
Okay, one is gonna be the detention area, which is that continuation of the
Yeah,
existing lake.
this is continuation of the existing
That-
one.
yeah,
There's a
that's-
whole nother one up
That's the
here.
big detention pond.
Incidentally, there is fish in that 10-acre pond back there.
Oh, is it?
Now, y'all educated me
He got
once.
bass fed years ago.
We used to
Y'all
party our
educated me
evenings
once
off
that a
out there.
detention pond was
God.
empty.
Well,
No.
Well, you can
it's
have-
a
there-
I was a
retention
little
pond.
later.
Huh?
It'll
The,
be a retention pond.
the pond that's up here, they're digging out to do the raising of the subdivision.
Right,
Part of, yes.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you're correct, that a retention pond holds the water and keeps it there. The detention pond stays empty, but on top of a retention pond, you can have a detention pond.
You can have static, above the static water,
Well, we
you have
got into
retention.
this with the subdivision at the end of the airport too, that you couldn't put water in there, but you're telling me you can put
But
water
that
on
was,
top?
that was a.
That's FAA.
That's the Air Force,
Yeah, that's the
Pardon?
FAA.
That was the FAA requirement.
But we called it a detention pond, and,
Well,
because I was calling it, in my ignorance, I explained that, retention pond, but,
depending
Not
on
so
how you
pre-
design it, it could be either, whether you want a dry situation, like we have a creekside, that is it's a dry.
A dry detention.
detention pond.
This one here has so many feet up, that makes it,
seemed like a detention pond is there to serve a purpose to catch the runoff, and if you can't catch it because it's a lake,
Well, you have,
this-
you have storage
this
above the
has
static
a
water.
7-foot rise that they
It's
keep,
designed for.
they have a 7 to 10 foot rise they keep in that for the detention of the runoff.
Well, you control that thing through a smaller pipe that only allows it to go at a certain rate, you know, that has been.
So it's still serving the same purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just goes on top of the other water. That's all it is. It stacks and then it goes away slowly.
And the additional 10-acre pond serves as a mitigation pond for the, for
For the fill and the flood.
the
Bass drop
volume,
backflow.
The area that has been now filled up.
Okay, all right, excuse me, Sal. This is the lake we were looking at,
Right.
Mhm.
and this lake outfalls through this ditch all the way up to that little tributary of
Okay.
Bastrop Isle. And we are digging a mitigation pond right here, 10 acres. That is
Oh, you
to-
are?
That is to mitigate the fill we're putting in here, so that when Bastrop Isle floods, we have the same volume of dry area
Yeah,
here.
what you
that we filled.
displaced there.
Yeah.
What you displays there.
Yeah. So
Is there a
that's
pond above that already?
Sir?
There is one, and that's the one that you're referring to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah,
was-
it's-
that was
It
up
used to be
here
called the
somewhere.
Harrison Lake.
Yeah,
that-
that-
Remember,
that
he
makes-
had,
yeah.
he had the first
Yeah,
runway
Yeah.
in
And that
southern
was-
Brazoria
that
County.
was
Yeah,
Sanpete
but this
also.
one's down
He
here.
and
Yeah,
Mr.
Sam.
Garrett,
Yeah,
yeah.
Boone family got that after a while. They're the ones that sold it to Appleton.
I also remember
No,
that
John Cone.
some of
Yeah,
this
Coon and
dirt that the
Oh,
BISD
brothers.
gave to them, or
How about the John?
there was a problem with the BISD couldn't give away their dirt?
Well, the only thing about
Is that the
BISD
lake, or-
is that this particular 40-acre tract, section 4, originally had
This area right here.
a 15-acre tract that was dedicated to the Brazos-Fort Infant School
Right.
District.
Yeah, that was right in here.
Yeah, for this,
That
yeah,
was
for their
released
expansion.
by them and sold back, well, it wasn't sold back to him, it was put on an auction, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
And Mr. Appleton was the one that.
Yeah, secured
Well, I
it.
understand that, but I was talking about the dirt that was used for the highway that,
That's what did that
Part
lower,
of this thing went to the highway when they were building the
Yeah.
freeway.
all of that
and they
got
still
dug out
got
for
in
that.
trouble with that.
Well, I don't know whether they had trouble, but that.
Well, it was in the paper. It's gotta be true.
It's gotta be true.
That was used for that, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Small town USA.
Anytown, you.
Anything else?
Yeah, well.
Shall we move along to Regal Storage?
And going back to just what the plant involves, basically what amounts to, that's what we are right now. These are 114 lots associated with this division, and most of them, I mean, they range, primarily they're 80 foot, I would say 80 foot wide in the primary width. They range all the way from 110, 120 to 170 foot, depending on what it is. So
Yeah.
these are large
Mhm.
lots that we will probably never have again. So this is probably the last slew of
And 80 foot wide for R2, and R2 requires 70 feet as a minimum. Okay.
They are generous lots,
they are generous.
even the
lots.
small ones.
Yeah, and they're gonna be the only ones left. Because all of them will probably never come close to that.
Nope.
If it ever comes.
With those poor, lonely fire extinguishers out there, that all that money went to, that we still get to look at and the cows get to rub on. I'm sore from my eyes every time I drive by. You know, we should have taken the freaking fire hydrants from out there the other day when we were needing one over on OCD.
How do you know that we didn't?
You didn't, because y'all told me you guys there from another municipality.
Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna have a-
Doug
we're
has
gonna have
left
an
the
oak
building.
island. We're gonna have a tree island in this pond?
Do what?
We're gonna have a tree island in this pond?
I don't know. It
Mr.
depends how
Hammond
we
loves
dig it
his
at.
tree island he has over there.
We're gonna tear out the dam in there. It's
Yeah,
not
to
a
open,
dam, but,
put it, complete it all together.
okay. I think y'all have done a good enough job. I may be able to drive to College Station tonight,
Still waiting for that steak.
and I haven't forgotten. I gotta come sometime
Is
when
that
I'm not
legal?
on agenda. That just doesn't look right.
All right.
There's
Moving
no
on.
action on this, right?
Moving on.
No.
Oh,
Moving
yes,
on.
there will be an action on the administrative review,
Okay.
if you approve it. So that they can proceed there next to the to the final.
I move to approve
Okay.
the administrative of replat of
I
North-
second.
Northwood subdivision, section 4.
Okay, yeah, I got it. I was excited about it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
It's hard to beat you.
Motion passes.
Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate your patience.
You bet.
All right, now, Regal Storage. Discuss, consider, and take action on administrative review of replat of the Regal Storage subdivision at 125 FM 2004.
Okay, and I don't see the percentages from them, but primarily because what we are presenting today is, number 5 is a new item for that same development. The other 2 are redos of a previous visit. They came down here. They have presented more information, but let's go back to just the replat. Originally, they had not provided one at that time, so we told them that they needed to first of all establish the boundaries of this particular tract. Because originally the first phase of the storage unit had a specific tract associated with it. They are adding to that particular, so now they are expanding that particular tract to one that encompasses the full, this other development. There still remains another third tract that will be there left in the future for whatever they decide to do, whether it's another continuation, expansion, or whether selling outright to a different use, for different use. This is actually adds another 3 or 4 acres, another 5 acres to the existing tract to take in the 3 buildings that they're proposing to expand to, along with some boat storage building. It'll all be done towards the back of the existing facility, and it'll go all the way down to what we know as the old slave ditch portion of the Brazos Canal. So this would be, you have the full deal there? Yes, okay.
This
Is
and
that how you-
this is the part they're reserving for later use.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. Okay, correct, you're right. So as you can see from that, from the screen there, the only point, the whole tract, this whole subdivision now creates 2 tracts. The feature tract, which is on the right side, right top, and the remaining L, which is where the expansion is gonna take place. And that expansion takes the building and also takes in the detention area. And that is just a requirement that we have for any type of development, so they are compliant. This is also for administrative review and your action on that.
Any comments, questions? Anybody concerns?
I think I understand what we're speaking of here. It goes into 2 tracks now, is that correct?
Yeah, it goes from Guatemala
Yeah.
Street, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was 2 tracks, and now it's 2 tracks with different configurations.
Uh-huh.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the administrative replat of the Regal Storage subdivision at 125 FM 2004.
Got a motion, there's a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6, discuss, consider, and take action on administrative review of site plan amendment of Regal Storage Expansion Phase 2 at 125
You said
FM
6?
2004.
He's on the wrong, I don't
It's
know,
item 9.
go off your agenda or whatever.
I am on
Is it?
Mr.
It's number 9.
Yeah, it's number 9 on here. I am so sorry. I've been working off Sal's.
You're looking at Sal's,
Middle thing. I've been working off that because that's where my notes are on. Okay, number 9. Discuss, consider, and take action on administrative review of site plan amendment of Regal Storage Expansion, Phase 2 at 125 FM 2004.
Like I said before, this is coming again as a administrative review primarily because there are still some questions unanswered on the drainage. Mr. Sanchez was on vacation, sent him a late review comments concerning that drainage detention basin that he wasn't yet happy with it.
Mitigating.
And that forced me to, originally I thought it was gonna be a final filing, well, that didn't turn out to be. They are gonna have to come back next time, and once Mr. Sanchez is satisfied. What you see there is the site plan. Is that the old, that's it?
Because this is when they were considering
Okay, so they include that? The previous one came in here with only the 3 additions and didn't have the overall site involved. That was one of the reasons why we sent it back for revisions the first time. And I think they have submitted one that's got the full site now. Somewhere along the line, we did include that in this presentation, but still it remains very similar in,
Sorry, Jeff.
That's
it reflects what it is that they're proposing, which is the addition of those 3 buildings that you see there, darkened buildings, and and also that of the boat parking stalls, that also hasn't covered. It also includes, as you can well see, that big old pond that now, because this property changed in the course of the first phase to this phase, the new mapping changed the zoning of this particular site, making it a lot more, I guess, demanding as far as drainage requirements. Originally, there was no demand for a mitigation area. It was primarily for just regular flood control. In this particular, now it becomes necessary that mitigation be considered because there is a loss of flood zone area by the new footprint that fills that area now. So that has to be compensated, and that's why that footprint of the water drainage pond has been increased significantly. And this is what Mr. Sanchez now is looking at, trying to make him toe the line
That's when it's there right now.
on that particular deal. As far as the site is concerned, the parking was not an issue at the very first, on the first phase, and there really isn't any issue this time because the only thing they're increasing is storage areas. So therefore, the parking that was originally proposed remains as it was before. As far as site conditions, those are the primary elements. They have also extended some fire protection that the fire marshal and also include the fire lanes that the fire marshal required. They are compliant with his wishes, and they're included in the site plan. And those are the major elements in the site plan that we looked at and now have this completed. It's gonna be fenced around, all the way around the perimeter that is being developed.
This is the correct site plan.
That is the Garrett site?
Yes, I got turned around.
Okay.
So the original site plan showed the detention pond in this corner here,
Okay.
and this thing is rotated, so.
And the other pond, you can see the other pond that's there for the first phase, and you can see the difference between one and the other and what the mapping created.
That is the first pond, that tiny little thing. This is the new pond. So the change in flood area, changed a lot. So this is that L shape, and this is the reserve B that we were looking at a minute ago. The detention pond is in this corner.
But
So what are we-
understanding your comments, it's still considered to be undersized?
According to Mr. Sanchez, he still wasn't satisfied with the size.
Okay.
So that was a comment that he made last on Friday,
Mhm.
didn't give him enough time to react.
Okay.
So, that's why we put him now under the next meeting to get this thing finalized.
So should we really even consider this if
Yes,
it's
because it's under the administrative review, which is a preliminary review.
preliminary? Okay.
We took the preliminary,
So when he says it's undersized in volume, not in footprint. So
Yeah.
it could be steepened up, it could be, made a little deeper.
Deeper,
gonna
right.
be, yeah.
Dug out some more, yeah.
It's gonna be iterated.
Good with the location, it's just,
Mhm.
it needs to be modified.
Matt, anything? Kay? Jeff?
No.
Just
Anything else,
looks like
Harry?
it's gonna have to proceed even, further down the line.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's in development.
Interaction, it doesn't talk about preliminary. It just
No,
says
I mean-
administrative review.
we took the preliminary out from those, and went to administrative. The state legislature's way of, controlling cities on, as far as the timeline that they are supposed to be passing this on, necessitated, to putting an additional step there. Our attorney said, well, let's call this administrative review, and, somehow that.
So that means the 30-day doesn't start until we're finished with this.
That's basically what it is, yeah.
It's 30 days.
Uh-huh.
Okay, if there's no more comments, questions, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Should I read it all out?
Yeah, you gotta read the
I'm new at
highlighted part.
this. I'm new.
Doing great.
You were new
I make
last time. You're full fledged.
I've never made a motion, and not in this commission.
All right.
Here we go.
Site plan, we're on the site plan.
I make a motion that we take action on this administrative review of site plan amendment of Regal Storage Expansion, Phase 2 at 125 FM 2004.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yay me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Motion passes. All right, one more Regal. And I'll use the correct document this time.
Make sure
Item
you
number
dictate
10.
that I voted no on that. Serious.
Discuss, consider, and take action on administrative review of alternate landscape plan, excuse me,
Alternate,
of
okay.
Regal Storage Expansion Phase 2 at 125 FM 2004.
Again, this is, just what is necessary to make this thing, agree with our requirements, our ordinance requirements and landscape. The type of the nature of the business really, they've done wonders to the landscape. It just, when you go through there, you see that they try to keep the landscape, living, and they're trying, they do a very good job. And what they're doing now is really happening on the very rear, which, people are not gonna be able to see, but they are still complying with the amount of open area that the ordinance has. They're also providing the necessary number of trees. Most of them are located within the perimeter, close to the fence, which, if anything, you will add a little bit of value to whoever is out there in the woods. as far as the trees are concerned. So they are meeting all those criteria. The only thing, and the reason why it's an alternate is because the original was an alternate, and that was because it doesn't have automatic irrigation. It doesn't have any irrigation for that matter. So therefore, that's the reason why it's defined as an alternate landscape.
Okay, just the irrigation.
Of course, the lake itself or the pond itself, you know, it does count as an open area. You can't, you know, that is,
Can't dispute that.
you can't dispute that, so. But it really doesn't even go into the actual count they're claiming.
No, 7 more trees than required, that's,
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
that,
yes,
that
that-
landscape plan looks
the-
overdone, so,
Yes,
nice.
and we
Mrs.
did,
Buell
we
would
sent
be
you
proud.
the
Lots of trees.
required tree survey, because this is just like Northwood. Everything is gonna be decimated, and therefore, you know, that's.
Yeah, to plant.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Clear cut at its finest.
comments, questions?
None.
Anyone? Come on, Harry, you got something.
Not that I see.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to consider and take action on administration review of the alternate landscape plan of Regal Storage Expansion Phase 2 at 125 FM 2004.
Well done.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Signature of documents. Looks like we have a couple out there. Are there any in the back room at all this time?
No, sir.
No.
I got a quick question on the community interest before we do a signature. The parking lot at Old Food King, now Harbor Freight Family Dollar or whatever, that triangle off to the side that we discussed, that's kind of on the Jack in the Box side, did we ended up being cool with white lines only? We did?
So there are little parking blocks there.
Yeah, they got the little triangle, but I thought we ended up asking them to do something else. No, we did leave it at that? Okay.
Nothing would survive there.
No, I just couldn't, I remember us discussing it, and I saw it the other day finally, I was like,
Yeah, it looks kind of odd, but that's what it has on the site, on the
Okay.
site plan.
I just wanted to make sure. It'd be a small farmer's market location, maybe.
Oh, already thinking of that.
There you go. Bracelets.
Any other items of community interest from our esteemed panel up here?
Esteemed.
Yeah, he's laying it on today.
Oh, man, why
Family
not?
Fitness turned 28.
God bless.
Monday.
Nice, very nice.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Has Sabrina
I
used her new
survived.
pole saw?
2014, I survived the pandemic. We
That had to be
own-
tough.
Well, yeah, yes.
Okay.
Come yell at me, I know. I'm ready.
Any staff comments? Council?
Did you enjoy your first meeting, Gabriel?
Oh, yes, that gentleman right there. Any comments
I didn't even
for
see
the,
Gabriel.
for this, no?
He's very well behaved. I didn't even see him, and
He's
he's
a
in
good
my line
kid.
of sight.
I know. I gave you a computer and you got sucked away. I know.
The future commissioner.
Yeah.
Okay, next meeting date, Tuesday, October 4th. Has everybody
Yes.
got that on the calendar?
October
Looks good,
4th.
at least for right now.
I will not be here.
You will not be
I
here.
will be in Ontario
Ontario.
doing a
Okay.
plant tour up there for a new skid steer company.
Bring that weather.
Can zoom in, yeah.
Huh? I mean, I'll zoom if we need it. I'll zoom in. I mean, it's late enough in the night. They'll be what 8:30 there. So, you know, I'll be sitting in a Canadian hotel room. So, you know, I'll watch you guys off the Facebook Live. Like, hey, look, those are. Hey, those are good. Those are good. But yeah, as of now, I won't be here. I will email the needed powers if something changes.
Okay. All right, meeting adjourned.
You did excellent.